My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial.
In a dramatic turn of political events, the former director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, James Comey, has been indicted on charges that include making false statements and obstruction of justice. This development represents a major escalation in the continuing struggle between Comey and former President Donald Trump, who has never hidden his disdain for the man who once led the nation's top law enforcement agency. The indictment centers on testimony given by Comey in 2020 during a congressional hearing that examined the handling of the FBI investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election and whether individuals associated with the Trump campaign had improper ties to Russian officials. The Department of Justice alleges that Comey misled Congress in key portions of his testimony and that he obstructed the ability of lawmakers to fully assess the conduct of the FBI during one of the most contentious chapters in recent American political history. Prosecutors argue that Comey minimized the extent of surveillance tactics used against certain Trump associates and that he downplayed internal dissent within the Bureau over the reliability of the so-called Steele dossier, which played a role in obtaining surveillance warrants. Comey has responded with defiance, issuing a public statement that he will not bow down to what he described as the tyrant Trump. He accused the former president of manipulating the justice system to settle personal scores and warned that such actions threaten the independence of American institutions. In his words, the charges are not about truth, but about retribution and an attempt to rewrite history. The clash between Trump and Comey has deep roots going back to May 2017, when Trump abruptly fired him as FBI director. The firing set off a chain reaction that led to the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller and a sprawling investigation into Russian interference and possible obstruction of justice by the president. Trump repeatedly blasted Comey as a leaker and liar, while Comey depicted Trump as a leader with authoritarian tendencies. The two men became symbols of opposite narratives, one casting Trump as the victim of a witch hunt and the other portraying him as a dangerous figure who sought to undermine democratic norms. The indictment of Comey has set off a storm of political reaction. Supporters of Trump argue that this moment represents long overdue accountability for a man they say abused his power to damage a sitting president. Conservative commentators have framed the charges as proof that the so-called deep state was real and that officials like Comey weaponized the machinery of intelligence and law enforcement to target their political enemies. For them, the indictment validates years of claims that the Russia probe was built on shaky grounds and that Comey was at the center of it.